The state calls Special Agent Heather Lashley. Okay, you want to go ahead and raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm any testimony you're about to give in the matter now pending before the court is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right, you can have a seat. And if you want to go ahead and just introduce yourself to the jury and tell us where you're employed.
Yes, ma'am. My name is Heather Lashley, and I'm a special agent with the Georgia Bureau of Investigation out of the Atlanta Regional Office.
Okay. And how long have you been with the GBI?
Just over 3 years.
And what's your role in the Atlanta division of the GBI?
I'm a special agent and crime scene specialist.
Tell me a little bit more about what you do in your capacity as a crime scene specialist.
So the crime scene specialist is essentially a special agent who is solely assigned to process crime scenes. So when we respond to various incidents, I'm not generally the one out doing interviews or things of that nature. My sole purpose is to process the crime scene.
Okay. And so we met Daniela Stewart a couple days ago. Does your role kind of mirror what she does in other regions?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So in your capacity as a crime scene specialist and as a GBI agent, did you respond to Apalachee High School on September 4th of 2024?
Yes, I did.
And tell me about how you ended up becoming involved.
So initially, I responded to Apalachee High School to provide crime scene assistance due to the nature of the scene. I knew it was going to be fairly complex. Once I arrived at the school, I was then reassigned to a different location for additional crime scene related.
And tell me about where that location was that you got reassigned to.
I was reassigned to 896 Harrison Mill Road in Bethlehem, Barrow County, Georgia.
Okay. And whose residence was that?
That was the Gray residence, so that was occupied by Colt Gray, Colin Gray, and 2 additional siblings.
And what was your role going to be at that location?
My role was to process the residence as a crime scene, so taking photographs, locating any items of evidence, collecting any evidence that I found there.
And around when did you arrive at 896 Harrison Mill Road in Bethlehem?
Approximately 2 p.m. on the same day, September 4th.
All right. And give us kind of a general description of this residence at this property.
So I would describe it as just a simple single-story home. There was a gravel driveway that led from the roadway to a carport on the north side of the house. It was a tan in color home with dark brown in color shutters, a front porch on the front of the house, an open front yard, pretty large backyard that was partially fenced in.
Okay. And did you photograph the outside of the residence as well as the interior of the residence and anything relevant within the home?
Yes, I did.
Did you also do a sketch of the residence?
Yes, ma'am.
And how did you create that sketch?
So I created the sketch using a software called Zone, and that's the program that I routinely use to create my crime scene sketches.
Okay, so is it an exactly to scale sketch of the home?
No, it is not to scale.
Okay, so as far as like if we're looking at an architectural diagram, it's not 1/10 of an inch equals 1 foot or anything like that?
Correct. It just shows the general layout of the residence.
Okay, and is it a fair and accurate depiction of the layout of the residence that you photographed?
Yes, it is.
And so we're going to introduce that sketch at that time. Let me give you the physical copy. And this is stage 144. Is this the sketch that you did that day?
Yes, it is.
Okay. That's a fair and accurate copy of the sketch?
Yes, ma'am.
So Judge, we would tender State's Exhibit 144.
You suppose that's for demonstrative purposes only?
You agree it's demonstrative? I mean, did he?
Not. I think that's something we can discuss later, Judge.
It's admitted that we shall do.
All right, so we're going to pull that up on the screen. It's showing up in front and behind you. And can you just kind of talk us through the layout of the house?
Yes, ma'am. So I entered the residence through a doorway that was in the carport / garage area. So upon entering through that doorway, I was located in the kitchen. There were 2 doorways on the kitchen, one that attached to a laundry room / bedroom area and one that connected to the living room. When you go into the living room, that's where the front door was located. There's also a hallway that led to the remainder of the house. There were 2 doors located on either side of the hallway that were a combination of bedrooms, a bathroom, and then just a general room.
Okay. And you referenced that you took photographs of the residents both outside and inside. I'm going to show you a stack of photos that defense counsel has already gone through. You don't have to go through everyone if you don't feel like you need to. Have you previously reviewed those photos of the crime scene or of the scene?
Yes, I have.
Okay. And are they fair and accurate depictions of your photographs at that residence?
Yes, ma'am.
Judge, we would tender State's Exhibits 145.1 through 145.114.
All right, any objections, Mr. Chairman?
Previous objections,
All right,
just ask for a standing objection.
yes, sir. Prior objections noted, overruled, 141.1 through 145.1 through 145 point, did you say 114?
Yes, sir.
Very good.
All right, so we're going to kind of go through these one at a time, and I'll just have you sort of talk me through what we're looking at. We will start with 145.1 and tell me what we see here.
So this is just an overall photograph of the house. In this photo, I'm standing farther down the driveway, closer to the road, so you can see the address as well as the actual house in the background.
Okay, and let me go ahead and ask you, we see, are those law enforcement vehicles and law enforcement officers, a few that we see in that picture?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so before you arrived, you said you got there about 2 p.m. Was this residence secured and maintained in the same condition as before law enforcement arrived?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So we'll go to 145.2. What do we see here?
This is just another overall of the house. I've just moved a little farther up the driveway.
Okay, and point 3.
This is the north side of the house, showing the carport, part of the driveway, and part of the front and backyards.
And point 4.
This is the back of the house.
Okay, and point 5.
The front of the house.
Okay, and would the driveway be to the left when we're looking at it that way?
If you're facing the house, yes, the driveway is to the left.
Okay. We'll go to the next slide. So the next few pictures we'll talk about are going into that carport and garage. Can you tell us what door appeared to be the door that people used coming and going from the house?
So there was a doorway in the carport. As I said, that was the one I entered to go into the residence. That was the door that appeared to be routinely used to go in and out.
Okay. So we'll go to the next slide, which is 145.6.
This is an overall of that carport and garage area.
Okay. Point 7.
A closer up photo. At this point, I'm partially in the garage, and you can see the doorway there in the corner.
Point 8.
This is a close up of the stairs and the doorway.
And going in, was that the kitchen that we were looking into in that open door?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so let's look at pictures of the kitchen.
This is one of my overall photos of the kitchen. At this point, I'm standing in that open doorway.
All right, and that was point 9, so we'll go to point 10.
This is another overall of the kitchen. At this point, I've moved to a different corner of the room, and I'm making my way around the room taking photos.
Okay. And point 11.
Again, another overall. This is from that same corner, and I'm moving to my left, taking photos.
All right, and with that door to the garage, oh, there we go. So point 12. You can go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. That's the door that leads to the garage.
Sorry, I got ahead of you. Point 13.
This is another overall of the kitchen. You can see the doorway that leads to the carport and also the doorway that connects to the living room.
All right, so that's the living room we see there to the left of the carport.
Yes, ma'am.
Let me use it pause for just a second. Council, you want to
What are we looking at here?
This is an overall photo of the doorway that connected to the laundry room / bedroom.
Okay, and where is that in relation to the garage?
So that wall where the doorway to go to the carport was, this is that same wall. So this would be the north wall in the kitchen.
Okay, and is that accurately reflected on the diagram?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so let's go to the next one. This is point 15.
This is one of my overall photos of that laundry room from the perspective of me standing in the doorway.
Okay, and point 16.
Another overall, at this point I've moved farther into the room and I'm facing back towards the doorway.
Okay. And again, I kind of hit on this, but when you go through and photograph a house, do you first photograph it in the exact condition that you find it in before y'all manipulate things or go through anything?
Yes, we do.
Okay. So we'll go to point 17.
This is a close-up of a plastic tote that was in that laundry room, and you can see some ammunition boxes in the tote.
Okay. And point 18.
This is just a closer-up photo of that ammunition box.
All right, go to the next one. 19.
This is a tactical style vest that was located in the laundry room.
All right. And the next one. This is 20.
This is an overall of an ammunition can that was also located in the laundry room.
Okay. We'll go to 21.
This is an overall of the contents of the box once I open the lid.
All right, so this is that same box we saw in the previous picture, that green one?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And we'll go to 22.
This is a close-up photo of some cartridges and cartridge cases that were loose in the bottom of the box.
Okay. And did you have to do anything to unlock that box, or was it secured in any way that you weren't able to get into it initially?
No, ma'am. It has a handle to keep it secure, but there's no actual physical lock on the box.
Okay. We'll go to the next one. That was 22. This is 23.
This is another photograph of some ammunition that was located in the laundry room, just within a plastic tote in that room.
Okay. And the next one is point 24.
A close-up photograph of that same ammunition.
Okay. We'll go to the next slide.
This is a close-up of the ammunition can that we showed a few photos ago.
Okay, and that's point 25. So is that after y'all took that into evidence?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we'll go to the next slide. Point 26.
Again, this is the contents inside the box once I open the lid.
Okay, we'll go to point 27.
These are all the boxes of ammunition that I removed from the box and laid out to photograph.
All right, so all of these were contained within that green box?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And point 28.
And this is after I removed the contents of those boxes, just showing how many cartridges were in each box.
Okay. And the next slide.
This is just a close-up of those cartridges showing their caliber.
All right, that was point 29. And we'll go to the next one, 30.
A close-up of one of the other boxes of ammunition.
Okay. And the next one is point 31.
And the contents inside that box.
All right. And the next one is point 32.
Close-up of a different box of ammunition.
All right. And the next one, 33.
And again, the contents that were inside that box.
And we'll go to the next slide.
A different ammunition box.
Okay, and that's point 34.
And the contents of that box.
And that is point 35. We'll go to the next slide.
This is an overall of what remained in the can after I removed the boxes from it.
Okay, and that's point 36. So these are not ones that you previously photographed. Those are additional at the bottom
Correct.
of the
These were
box.
just loose in the bottom of the box.
Okay. And we'll go to the next slide, point 37.
This is an overall of which cartridges were loose in the box. As you can see, I laid them out and I wrote beside each one the make, the caliber, and how many there were.
Okay, and can you just kind of read out what, basically what you've got written there?
Yes, ma'am. So I have 2 PMC 308 Winchester cartridges. I have 12 FC 45 auto handgun cartridges, 1 FC 40 caliber Smith & Wesson cartridge, 1 Spear 40 Smith & Wesson cartridge, and 1 Winchester 40 Smith & Wesson cartridge.
Okay, thank you. And we'll go to the next slide.
This is an overall of one of the evidence bags showing the barcode.
Okay, and is that your writing on there?
No, it is not.
Okay. Is your handwriting better than that?
I hope so.
What is this? What's labeled on the bag?
It says loose ammo from laundry room.
And is that accurate as to where it was collected from?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that's .38. And we'll go to the next one, .39.
And this was the contents that were inside that bag.
Okay. We'll go to the next one. That's .40.
This is a head stamp of either a cartridge or a cartridge case. It's hard to tell in that photo.
Okay. And we'll go to the next slide. .41.
And overall of a difference evidence bag.
Okay, and what's the writing on that say?
It says ammo, secondary search, laundry room.
Okay, and when we say secondary search, what's that in reference to?
So generally a secondary search is what we do after we've done our initial search and marked any items of evidence that were readily visible. Once we've photographed, documented, and collected those, we will then do a secondary search in which we will move things that we may not have previously moved. And it's more of just a secondary sweep to make sure we didn't miss anything.
Okay, and that's 41, and we'll go to the next slide.
And these are the cartridges that were in that bag.
Okay, and that's 42. Go to the next slide.
And overall of a Remington ammunition box.
That's 43. And the next slide.
And the contents that were in that box.
Okay, that's 44. And we'll go, before we go on through the house, I'm going to show you what's been marked as Space Exhibit 146. And can you identify what this is for the jury? And is this heavier than it looks as I walk this up here?
Yes, it is heavy.
Okay.
This is the ammunition box that was collected from the laundry room.
Okay. And does it appear to be in substantially the same condition as when you collected it from the laundry room?
Yes, ma'am.
After y'all photographed the contents of that box, did you put the contents back in the box and seal it?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And since I'll go ahead and tender State's Exhibit 146 into evidence.
No objection. Does it have the bullets in it? Is that what this?
Yes, sir. Everything that was contained in it at the house is back in it now.
All right, 146 is admitted.
And I will not have you open that up since you photographed so thoroughly the contents of it. But I do have one more from that room. This is State's Exhibit 147. And can you identify what this is for the jury?
This is the tactical vest that's been packaged that was located in the laundry room.
Okay. And is that bag and sealed everything in substantially the same condition as when y'all placed it into evidence?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And I'm going to have you open that up and show that to the jury. And Judge, we would tender State's Exhibit 147.
Fair.
No objection.
All right, 147 is admitted.
Right. Yeah, if you want to stand up and hold that up, I don't think you need to step down. But, thank you. All right.
Do you want me to put it back in the bag?
And yeah, sure. Whatever's easiest. If you need me to get it out of your way, let me know. All right, and we'll go back to a few pictures before I bring you something else.
Okay.
This is going to be State's Exhibit 145.45. Can you tell us what we're looking at here?
Just an overall photograph showing the doorway to the carport and the doorway to the living room.
Okay. And so we're now going to go into that living room. And on the next slide, should be 46. Tell us about this.
This is one of my overalls of the living room, just showing where the furniture was and the overall appearance of the room.
Okay, so is this kind of from the direction of that doorway?
Generally, yes, slightly to the left.
Okay. And we'll go to the next one, 47.
This is more of a straight ahead view of me standing in the doorway, but this is again, more furniture, and you can see the front door and a window in the living room.
Okay, so just to be clear, that door on the left side of this picture, that's the front door to the home?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And when you said that it appeared the garage door was the one people used to enter and exit, is kind of the stuff in front of that door the reason why you concluded that?
Yes, ma'am. It would, based on where the furniture is, the items hanging from the door, and the items in front of the door, it seemed that it was not feasible that someone was regularly going in and out of that door.
Okay. And now we'll go to point 48.
Another overall from inside the living room. This is, if you're standing in the doorway, this is the wall to the right of the doorway.
Okay. And we'll go to 49.
Another overall from the living room. You can see the doorway that leads back to the kitchen, and you can also partially see where the hallway starts.
All right, is that going to be the hallway that has all the bedrooms off of it?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And we'll go to the next slide, point 50.
Another overall of the living room, again, just showing the furniture and the contents.
Okay. And so now we're going to show a little bit of that hallway. And we'll go to point 51.
This is an overall showing just the general layout of the hallway.
Okay, and can you kind of tell us which rooms we see? I know it's kind of hard to see in this picture, but...
Yes, ma'am. So in this perspective, I'm standing in the living room facing the hallway. At the very end, you can see a door. That is just a closet. If you're moving down the hallway on your right side, the first room is the just general, almost gamer setup type room.
Mhm.
The room at the end of the hallway on the right is a bedroom. And on the left wall, the first room on the left is a bathroom, and the second room on the left at the end of the hall is another bedroom.
Okay, is that a pretty narrow hallway?
It is.
Okay, and you said that door on the end with the damage to it, that's a closet?
Yes, it's a closet door.
Okay. And we'll go to point 52.
This is another overall of the hallway. I've moved a little bit further down so you can see the rooms a little bit better.
Okay, so what's this first door on our left?
The first door on our left is a bathroom.
Okay, and the door directly across from it?
That was identified as Colt's room.
Okay. And that was point 52. So now we're going to look at that first bathroom that was on the left. And we'll pull up point 53.
This is one of my overalls, just showing the condition of the bathroom.
Okay, and how many bathrooms total were there in the house?
2.
Okay. We'll go to point 54.
This is a perspective of me standing in the bathroom doorway. I'm taking a photograph of the doorway directly across from the bathroom.
Okay. And you said that's what was identified as Colt's room?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And the next slide is point 55.
This is an overall near the end of the hallway. You can see that same closet door, and on the right and left are doorways to the bedrooms.
Okay. And we'll go to the next slide. So next we're going to talk about, was that last room next to the bathroom, was that identified as Jenny Gray's room, the daughter?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so let's show the next slide. This is point 56.
This is just an overall of the doorway leading into Jenny's room.
All right, and it's kind of hard to see in this picture. Is that damage to the door next to the doorknob?
There is some damage to the door, yes.
Okay. And we'll go in point 57.
This is one of my overalls of Jenny's room. Oh, you're fine.
And smoothly going into point 58.
Just another overall as I'm making my way around the room.
Okay. And the next slide, point 59.
Another overall of Jenny's room, and you can see the doorway there that leads to her connected bathroom.
Okay. And we'll go into that bathroom. Is the only point of entrance for that bathroom in Jenny's room?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and it did appear that that was a bathroom exclusively used by Jenny based on what you could tell?
Based on the contents, yes.
Okay. So we'll show point 60.
These are just some of the contents that were in that bathroom.
Okay. And so we're next going to go to this back corner bedroom. Did that appear to be Colin Gray's bedroom?
Yes, ma'am.
And did he appear to also share that with his youngest son, Coley?
It appeared that way, yes.
Okay. And we'll go to the next slide, point 61.
This is one of my overalls of the doorway of Colin's room.
Okay. And point 62.
Another overall of the inside of the room.
Okay. Go to .63.
Another overall, just moved the camera down to try to capture the whole room.
Gotcha. We'll go to the next slide, .64.
Another overall of that same bedroom as I'm making my way around the room.
All right, and the next slide is .65.
This is an overall of a pair of swim goggles that I located in that bedroom, and inside the goggles you can see what was identified as one bore sight and one rifle cartridge.
Okay, and is that, fortunately we had that orienting picture. Is this zoomed in from where the previous picture was?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And we'll go to the next picture.
This is that same pair of goggles. It's just now been identified with evidence marker 22.
Okay, and you said that was a bore sight and a cartridge in there?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Just a close-up of the contents of the goggles.
All right, and that's .67. And is that object on the left the bore sight?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. .68.
This is an overall of the closet that was in Colin's room.
Okay. And .69.
Another overall focusing more on the top of the closet.
Okay. And .70.
One of my overalls photographing the top shelf that was in the closet.
All right, and it's kind of hard to see in this picture, and we'll see clearer, but what are those boxes that we're seeing?
Various ammunition boxes.
Okay. We'll go to the next picture. That's .71.
That's another overall. That's the opposite side of that same shelf in the top of the closet.
Okay. And the next slide.
These were overalls of some firearms that were located in that closet after I removed the clothing that was covering them.
Okay. Were there 2 firearms up there?
Yes, there were.
Okay. And we'll go to the next picture. That was .72. This is .73.
This is a overall photograph of a box of handgun ammunition that was in the top of the closet.
All right. And we'll go to the next slide, .74.
This is another overall of one of the firearms that's been marked with evidence marker 17.
Okay. And .75.
This was a pile of magazines that were located in the top of the closet that have been marked with evidence marker 19.
All right. And .76.
This is an overall of the closet, still with all the clothing on top of the contents of the closet.
Okay. So is this kind of on the left side of the closet?
Yes, ma'am.
If
If
you're
you're facing the
looking at it.
closet, it would be more to the left.
Okay. .76, and we'll go to the next one, .77.
This is the same boxes of ammunition that have been marked with evidence marker 16, and this photo, the clothing has been moved from on top of them.
Okay. And next, .78.
This is a close-up photo of all the boxes of ammunition that I retrieved from the top of the closet.
Okay. And I'll go ahead and ask, was that closet locked or secured in any way that y'all weren't able to get into it?
No, ma'am, the closet door was open when I got there.
Okay. So that's .78. We'll go to .79. What do we see here?
A close-up photo of the .40 caliber Smith & Wesson ammunition box.
Okay. And .80.
This was the contents inside that box.
Okay. And .81.
An overall of another ammunition box and the contents that were inside that box.
Okay. And .82.
An overall of a different ammunition box.
Okay. And we'll go to the next one, .83.
These were the contents inside that box.
Okay. And are all these that we're looking at recovered from that top closet shelf next to those firearms?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. We'll go to the next one, .84.
An overall of a 12-gauge shotgun ammunition box.
Okay. We'll go to .85.
The contents were covered from that box.
All right. And is that your writing next to it, identifying what it is?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And can you just read that for us if you could see it? I know it's not super clear.
Apologies if I pronounced the name wrong, but 16 cellular and billet 12-gauge shotgun shells.
Okay. And this is .86.
This is an overall of a different ammunition box and the contents of that box.
All right, and that's .87. And how many is that?
19 12-gauge shotgun shells.
Okay. And we'll go to .88.
An overall of a different ammunition box.
And .89.
The contents that were in that box.
Okay. Go to .90. So we're back in the room. Can you tell us kind of where we are in the room at this point?
Yes, ma'am. So you can partially see it in that photo. The doorway to go in and out of the room is in the left corner of that photo. This would be the east wall in that room, and it's just a cubby-style dresser against the wall.
Okay, and that was .90. So let's go to .91, and what are we looking at here?
This is a mid-range photo of the middle cubby on the top row of that dresser.
Okay, that's .91.
And this is a Glock box or case that was recovered from that cubby.
That's .92. We'll go to .93.
This is an overall of the contents that were inside that case.
All right. And can you tell us just generally, at least what we can see about what these contents are?
So you can see there are 2 handgun magazines. There's a black and color, what's called a speed loader to help you load your magazines. And there's also a gun lock in a Ziploc bag.
Okay. And was the Ziploc bag, did that appear to be the original packaging for the gun lock from what you could tell?
From what I could tell, yes.
Okay. And that's .93, so we'll go to the next one now. And before we go to the next one, I'll introduce a couple physical things. I do want to ask you, those firearms at the top of the closet, what were those 2 firearms?
One of them was a shotgun and the other was a rifle.
Okay. Was it like an AR style rifle?
Yes, ma'am. I believe it was a AM-15 was the official brand of it.
Okay. And I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 148. Can you just identify what that is?
Yes, ma'am. This is the Glock case that was recovered from that cubby in Colin's room.
All right. And does it appear to be in the same condition as when y'all took it into evidence?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And Judge, at this time, we would tender State's Exhibit 148.
No objection, Judge. 148.
Okay, I'm going to have you go ahead and if you can just sort of show the inside of it to the jury, then I'm going to ask you about a couple of the individual contents. So if you could pull out the gun lock in there and hold that up, is that a pretty basic gun lock?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And what's that paper that's inside with it? Have you reviewed that?
I have, yes, ma'am. So this paper is provided by Glock. It's essentially just a safety form. It provides instructions on how to properly secure the gun lock. It also provides warnings on how to do so safely. And there are also photos depicting what the gun lock should look like when it's properly installed on various types of weapons.
Okay. And does it include like safety tips and that kind of thing as well to sort of explain that to the owner?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And what's the envelope that is also inside that lock case?
All right. So this envelope contains just Glock's safety pamphlet provided by Glock, as well as a just general user manual for a Glock handgun.
Has that envelope been opened?
No, ma'am, it doesn't appear so.
Okay. I'll give you a second to consolidate that. All right, so we'll go back to the pictures. So we're talking about what you previously identified as Colt's room now. So this is that room that's directly across from the bathroom?
Correct.
Okay, and this is State's 145.94. Tell us what we're looking at here and from where.
This is one of my overalls of Colt's room. In this perspective, I'm standing in the doorway, and I'm facing generally the west wall.
Okay. And we will go to, is that a like computer screen right there that we see?
Yes, ma'am. There's a desk with a computer monitor, some video game equipment, and just some other assorted items on the desk.
Okay, and that's, so we see that a little clearer in State's 145.95.
Yes, ma'am. Just another overall showing the desk and the chair and some contents that were in the floor.
All right, and is that still kind of from the doorway?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so this is a pretty small room.
Yes, ma'am. It's not very big.
Okay. So this is 145.96. Tell us what we see here.
This is an overall photograph of the west wall. You can partially see the desk, and you can also see some things affixed to the wall.
Okay, and you say some things affixed to the wall, so we see what's right in front of us. We'll obviously be coming back to that. Was there really anything on the walls other than what we see in this picture, that skull and these items on the back wall?
There was one shelf mounted to the east wall, which is the wall where the doorway was located, but the only thing on the shelf was an empty shoebox, some loose papers, some push pins, nothing of relevance.
Okay, so we'll go to 145.97.
Another overall, just making my way around the room. This would be partially the south wall and part of the west wall.
Okay, and is that door right there, is that the door to the room or a closet door?
That is a closet door.
Okay, so that's 0.97. We'll go to the next one, 0.98.
Another overall, just a little bit lower photograph. You can see some more video game equipment and some assorted items in the chair and on the floor.
Okay, and we'll go to 0.99.
An overall facing downward, and you can see the broken computer and some tools on the floor.
Okay. And again, was this all the same condition as when law enforcement came into the house?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so this is 145.100.
This is a photograph of a wire shelf that was in the room for some notebooks on the top shelf.
Okay, so we'll go to 0.101.
This is an overall of the closet that was in Colt's room.
Okay, so we'll go to 0.102.
Just another view of the closet.
Okay, and is this door on our left side, is that the entrance to the room?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And this is 0.103.
This is an overall of a black and color rifle sling and a tan soft rifle case that were located in that closet. They were both folded over the bar that's used to hang clothing from.
Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and provide to you state 149. States 152. I'll trade you for a couple of those things you've accumulated. So here we have 149. If you want to go ahead and tell me what states 149 is.
149 is the rifle sling.
Okay, and does that appear to be in the same condition as when y'all packaged it up and put it into evidence?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And Judge, at this time we would tender States Exhibit 149.
Let me get it.
All right, 149 then.
All right, yeah, and if you want to go ahead and open that up, and I'll have you display that for the jury. And so that is the rifle sling. Can you identify for us what State's Exhibit 150 is?
A 150 is the soft rifle case that you can see in that photo.
Okay, so is that this brown object that we see here?
Yes, it is.
All right, and is it in substantially the same condition as when y'all packaged it up and put it into evidence?
Yes, ma'am.
Judge, we would tender State's Exhibit 150.
All right, 150 is admitted.
All right, I'm going to have you do your best to get that open and pull it out and display it for the jury. And once you're ready, I'll go back to the pictures, no rush.
Go ahead.
All right, so we'll now go to, so the picture we have up now is 103. We'll go to 145.104.
This is a close-up of the rifle sling. It has been marked as evidence marker 7.
And that's the rifle sling you just displayed for the jury?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and we'll go to the next picture, 105.
This is a photograph of the rifle case after I opened it, just to show that there was nothing inside of it.
And that's the inside of that rifle case that you just displayed?
Yes, it is.
All right. And we'll go to 106.
This is an overall of the top shelf inside that same closet, just showing the contents.
Okay. And we'll go to 107.
These are some targets that had been wadded up, and they were located in the bottom of the closet among some clothing and other assorted items.
Okay, and we saw some of those as well in 106 and 107. Can you tell us, when you say targets, what are those specifically?
These are shooting targets.
Okay. And we'll go to the next slide, 108.
This is an overall of a sight box, red dot sight, that was located in that same closet among some clothing.
Okay, we'll go to the next slide, 109.
This is a close-up photo of the box showing the brand information and a photograph of the site.
Okay, and we'll leave that up, and I'll go ahead and show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 151. And this, I'm actually going to hold off on that for 1 second because we have 2 exhibits in that bag. So you go to 110. All right, and what do we see here?
Some additional shooting targets that were located in that closet, and you can see some are unused, but some are used.
Okay, and the next one, 111.
This is a close-up of a target that had already been used.
Okay, and we'll go to the next one, 112.
These were 2 additional targets that were used that were located in that closet.
Okay, and we'll go next, 113.
This is a photograph of a shotgun shell as well as another gun lock that were located in the bottom of that closet.
Okay, and 114.
This is a close-up photo of just the gun lock.
Okay, and so I'll go ahead and so you've got that bag in front of you. It's labeled, I believe it's 151 and 153. Is that correct?
Yes, that's
All
correct.
right. And what are the contents of that bag?
This is the box for the red dot sight as well as the gun lock that is on the screen right now.
All right. And do those appear to be in substantially the same condition as when you took them into evidence?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Judge, we would tender State's Exhibits 151 and 153.
No objection. 151 and 153 are admitted.
All right. And if you can just hold up the site mark box for the jury. I won't have you open the box or anything. All right. And then moving on to 153. If you can hold up that gun lock. All right. And the other gun lock that was recovered from the house was in kind of a Ziploc bag. Is this one in a bag that has not been completely opened?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So do you feel comfortable saying, does it appear that is an unused condition?
Yes, ma'am. There's a rip in the bag, but it's not nearly large enough that the gun lock could be removed without tearing the rest of the plastic.
Okay. And I'm going to circle back. I have my numbering a little out of order. So this is 152. And I think this has kind of a combination of things in that bag. Can you identify what that bag is?
This bag contains 1 shotgun shell found in the subject's closet, evidence marker 15, and evidence marker 22.
Okay. And those appear to be in substantially the same condition as when you took them into evidence.
Yes, they do.
All right, and Judge, we would tender State's Exhibit 152.
Any objection?
No.
All right, and I think you have I'm sorry, you have a couple individual bags within there. Can you just tell us what each of those are?
Yes, ma'am. So each of the items that I just read off are packaged individually within their own coin envelope, and each coin envelope is then in this bag.
Okay. So will you just identify each one really quick?
Yes, ma'am. So each of these envelopes contain a shotgun shell. One was recovered from evidence marker 15, and one was recovered from Colt's closet. Each of these items are the 2 items that were previously observed in the swim goggles. One is the cartridge and one is the bore sight.
Okay, so, and just order-wise, because I bounced around a little bit, so the bore sight, a couple of the shells were from Colin's room, and then another shell was from Colt's room.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and just to kind of clear up something that the jury may notice, was there a bed in the room that we're referring to as Colt's room?
Was there a bed?
Yes.
I'm sorry. No, there was not.
And what is your understanding of where Colt would actually sleep?
It was my understanding that Colt was sleeping in the laundry room that also was serving as a bedroom.
Okay. And at this point, we can go on to the next slide. So this is State's Exhibit 145.96. We're just going to kind of use this for reference. Tell me about what we're looking at here.
We are looking at the west wall in Colt's room. You can see the same desk that we discussed earlier, as well as a series of photographs and articles that were affixed to his wall.
Okay. Okay, and we're going to pull up the next picture, 145.115.
I'm sorry.
And what is that showing right there?
This is an overall of just the photographs and articles on the wall. I marked it as evidence marker 2.
Okay, and 116. I think there's 116. Okay. And what do we see here?
This is a close-up of some of the photographs that were lower down on the wall and difficult to see from farther away.
Okay. Okay. And Judge Mr. Smith pointed out that I have a numbering error. So I tendered 145 through 114. There's 116 photos. So I would tender State's Exhibits 145.115 and 116 at this time. They were previously reviewed and discussed with defense counsel. I just had that number wrong.
So 145, 115, and 145, 116?
Yes, sir. I just, in my aggregate numbering, left those out.
Mr. Chairman, same objection that we made earlier.
All right, so overruling the objection, 145, 115, and 116 for the negative.
Thank you. All right, so I want to talk about. I want to talk about what we're looking at here. Did you collect these photos and news articles on the wall into evidence?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And were those affixed directly to the wall?
Yes, ma'am. They were affixed to the wall using push pins.
Okay. And in preparation for your testimony, did you use those, what was collected into evidence, the originals that were collected into evidence, and reassemble them on what's been marked as State's Exhibit 154?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And did you do that on a poster board?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Just kind of in place of a wall?
Yes.
Okay. And did you use your crime scene photographs as reference to make sure that the way you affixed it was as close as possible to exactly how it was affixed in size and order on that wall?
Yes, I did.
All right. And Judge, at this time, have you reviewed today Stage 154 to make sure it's in the same condition as when you assembled that?
Yes, I have.
Will you tender State's Exhibit 154?
We would object, Judge, under the duplicitous aspect of photographs.
All right, and as I understand it, these are what was actually removed from the wall?
Yes, sir, Judge. We're tendering the original shrine into evidence, reconstructed on the poster board, as obviously we couldn't take the whole wall.
All right, so the photographs, 154, it's admitted over objection.
So I'm going to bring this over and display it for the jury, and then we're going to talk about what we are looking at. So, Special Agent Lashley, can you start by telling me the approximate size of this shrine?
The approximate height of it was approximately 4 feet 4 inches.
Okay. And let's talk about what we're looking at. Are you familiar with, are all the photos in this all of the same person?
They appear to be, yes.
And are all the news articles here related to that same person?
Yes, ma'am.
Specifically, I'm looking at a photo kind of down on the bottom right corner, and you can see it in the photo in front of you as well. That tactical vest that this individual is wearing, is that a similar vest to the one that you recovered from the laundry room?
Yes, ma'am. Obviously, the color is different, but the style is generally the same.
Okay. And who is this individual?
This individual is Nicholas Cruz.
And what is the significance of Nicholas Cruz?
Nicholas Cruz perpetrated a mass shooting event at Parkland High School in Florida on February 14th of 2018. During that incident, there were 17 people killed, including teachers and students.
Okay. Were there also several injured as well?
Yes, sir.
In collecting the evidence, did you review that are all these news articles related to that shooting
Yes, they are.
at Parkland High School?
Correct.
And you testified, again, I know we saw the pictures, but in orienting to Colt's room, where was this shrine?
So if you were standing in the doorway of Colt's room, this shrine would have been on the wall across from the doorway. The doorway was on the east wall, this shrine was on the west wall.
And I'll ask you, before I sit down, just as you recovered all the evidence, did any of the firearms that you recovered have a gun lock or any other safety mechanism on them?
No, they didn't.
Did you find any gun safes in the house?
No, ma'am.
Did you find any other kind of safe or secured location that a rifle could have been stored?
No, ma'am.
Nothing further from me, but Mr. Barry or Mr. Hobbs may have some questions for you. Thank you.
Cross?
Thank you.
Good morning, Agent.
Good morning, sir.
Were you given any information before you went to the home to do your search?
Can you be more specific? What type
well,
of information?
Who did you talk with before you went to the home? You had to get information where the home was. So who did you talk with before you got there?
My direct supervisor, special agent in charge, Lavender, out of the Region 10 office, is the one who directed me to go to the home and process it. He provided me the address, and I responded from the school to the home.
All right. And did he give you the caliber of the weapon that had been used in the shooting at the school?
No, sir. It was still very early on. I didn't get a lot of information.
Okay. Now, when you went through the home, as you showed us, the room at the far end on the left you determined was Jenny's room.
Correct.
And would you classify that as the master bedroom normally in the house because it had an adjoining bathroom?
For most homes, possibly. For that home, I would say yes. It was the largest bedroom, and it did have an adjoining bath.
Okay. So it was the largest bedroom and it had its own bath.
Correct.
Okay. And where you put the father's room, which is on the other side, correct?
Correct.
Far right-hand side?
Yes.
Did that appear to be shared, bunk bed shared with the younger son, Coley?
Yes, it did.
Okay. So he shared that room with him.
Yes, it appeared that way.
And who gave you the information that Colt slept in the laundry room?
I can't recall exactly who gave it to me. One of the agents that I met with when I first responded to the house.
Okay. Did you find a photograph in that laundry room where a bed would be?
There was a bed in the laundry room, yes.
Okay. And, excuse me, going through some of the cartridges that you found in this box, I think the, let's see. appears to be a military-type box. At least it was when I was in the military. Is that what you would call it?
Yes, sir. It's used by law enforcement and military commonly.
Okay.
Just for the record, what exhibit number is that?
And this is 146, correct? And you went through that box and told us all the ammunition. Did you find any weapons in the house that matched the cartridges that you found?
I found a shotgun in the house as well as multiple boxes of shotgun shells, so yes, those would match. And I also found multiple different calibers of rifle ammunition. The rifle on the top of the closet, I'm not positive which caliber it would be, so I can't confirm or deny that.
Okay. Well, you told us that you found 2 308s, correct?
Boxes or just cartridges?
In the box that I just showed you.
Yes,
I
I
think
found
you-
several 308s.
Okay. 12.45 caliber.
Yes.
And Smith and Wesson, different makes, but 4 Smith and Wesson type bullets.
I found multiple types of handgun bullets. Yes.
Okay. And did you find a handgun?
Not in the home, in Mr. Gray's vehicle, yes.
Okay. And you searched his vehicle also?
Myself and Special Agent Andrew Still did, yes.
And was there a Smith and Wesson found or a 45?
Neither. It was a Glock 43X.
Okay. So you didn't find a 45 nor a Smith and Wesson?
No, sir.
How many Glock bullets did you find in this case?
So generally, you will not find a cartridge that has Glock imprinted on it. Glock is the manufacturer of the handgun.
Right. It's 9mm though, right?
Yes.
Okay. How many 9mm did you find?
I don't recall, sir.
And you indicated that you found an AR-style weapon in the top of the closet where Colin Gray slept, correct?
Correct.
And did any of the bullets in this case fit that particular firearm?
I'm not sure, sir. I did not attempt to load that firearm.
Okay. You didn't check to see what caliber it might be?
I examined the exterior of the rifle, and it was identified as a multi-cal, which means it's capable of firing more than one type of caliber. There was not one specific caliber listed or imprinted on the rifle.
Okay. And the 208s, what are they? Caliber 208s that you testified to, I think.
I don't recall testifying about a 208, sir.
Okay.
Or
Were there-
testified about 308s.
Were there any found there?
308s, yes.
Okay. You remember how many?
No, sir. Multiple boxes.
Okay. Now, the photographs that we see here, these are not cut out of a newspaper, correct?
I'm not sure where they originated from, sir.
Okay. Don't they look like they were printed on a printer?
Potentially, yes.
Is that correct?
They could appear that way. Again, I'm not sure where they originated from.
Okay. But they don't look like a newspaper where you cut it out of a newspaper, do they?
The physical photos, no, they do not.
Okay. Do you know when those were printed?
No, sir.
Do you know when those were put on the wall?
No, sir.
The site mark box that you saw, did anyone give you any information that there was corresponding site mark on the weapon that was used at the school?
No, sir. I never saw any of the evidence that was collected from the school.
Okay. So primarily your duties was to go there and photograph everything pretty much that you saw. That'd be fair to say.
My role as a crime scene specialist is to photograph the crime scene in its entirety. So that includes the outside and inside overalls. And if I see something of evidentiary value, then yes, additional mid-range and close-up photographs of that item.
Okay. And do you sometimes get impressions about what you see?
What do you mean, sir?
I mean, if you see, for instance, the computer that was sitting on the floor in what was called Colt's room,
Mhm.
the computer looked like it had been taken apart. Is that what it looked like to you?
Yes.
Okay. Components were on the floor.
Yes.
You don't know when that may have been done either, right?
I'm not sure.
Could you tell by what was taken apart on the computer why it may have been taken apart?
No, sir. I'm not a computer expert. I would have no idea of the inner workings of a hard drive.
Did anyone collect that computer to your knowledge?
I collected it and turned it over to the GBI's digital forensic investigators.
Okay, and which agent did you turn it over to?
Danielle Murphy.
All right. Thank you, ma'am.
Any redirect?
No, sir.
All right. Thank you, ma'am. You're free to go. So, ladies and gentlemen,